So guys, we come back again. This is part 2. I've managed to explain to you from part 1 on how the market orders are getting placed in the market and why does we have a bearish liquidity void or a bullish liquidity void. So now I'm going to be introducing another topic. Part 2. This is where you must understand why the price has to come back and refill the gap. So if you can check, guys, as now you've managed to see that we're having a bearish liquidity void. If we have a bearish liquidity void, then we'll also have a bullish liquidity void. If we sell, we buy. If we don't sell, we either buy. So it's a two-way traffic. There is a vice versa of something. So that one, it was a bearish liquidity void. Then this one is going to be a bullish liquidity void. So the thing that I'm going to be explaining to you here is simple, guys. So if the market was going up just for good, here I'm just like trying to give you maybe a reason why the market, even if it's going up, it doesn't just go straight line like this or maybe straight like this. It goes in the form of zigzags. I need you to understand why is the market having to move like this. So the reason, guys, is that we must be able to all participate in this condition or in this forex thing. So basically now let's go out from forex and talk just a clear, I want to give you a clear example that is happening in real life. If we're having a seller, we must have a buyer. If we're having a teacher, we must have students or learners. If, like, this is how it is, guys. There is no one who's saying, hi, Mina, I'm a teacher, but then he doesn't have learners. Do you understand? So you can't become a seller in the market and you don't have buyers. Does it make sense? It doesn't make sense. If someone buys from you, then to him, you are a seller. We exchange. We exchange. That's what we mean trade. You know the definition of trade. We exchange. It's a market where we meet buyers and sellers. When someone buys, someone sells. When someone sells, someone buys. Simple like that. So when we are buying, there are people who are we are buying from someone who's selling. Do you understand? So same applies here, guys. The market can't go up in a straight line because like I can say it's gonna be unfair to only have buyers in the market. Where are we buying from? So we must also have sellers. It's a two-way traffic. So if you can check what I'm trying to mean to explain, I know it might not make sense, but it will make sense soon when I'm showing you something like this. So if you check, guys, in this, okay, let me change the colors. Let me change the color so that it can be clearly seen here. Let me make it green. Green always shows sellers. Red I mean green for buyers, red for sellers. So if you can check here, let me just make it this one. Yes, clearly. So if you can check here, guys, we having this bullish move. You see, we having a bullish move on the green side. We only had sellers, but then on the red side, we only had sellers. Do you understand? So on the green side, we only had buyers. On the red side, we only had sellers. Do you understand? So this, it makes sense. So if the market should keep going in the green condition, just imagine, meaning it's unfair to the sellers because they don't even get a chance to participate in the market, which is gonna make the market to be unhealthy. So this is the reason why we are having imbalancement in price. Why does price come back and retrace from the previous unfilled gap? So what do we mean when we're talking about a gap? A gap, guys, is something like this. You see here in the green side, we having, this is a gap. You see, it's a gap. From there to there, it's a gap. You see, from those two lines, this is a gap. When we're talking about the gap, we're talking about something like this. This is a gap. This is a gap. You see, we only had buyers. There was no one who was selling in this condition. So it was unfair to the sellers because they couldn't get a chance to participate in the market. So then it's fine. This thing is an algorithm. But as I've shown you or given you a simple example, it's unfair to become a teacher without learners. It's unfair to become a buyer from where you don't have sellers. So the market is fine. It's like this. We only had buyers, but then we must also give another people a chance to sell. You see? So then if you check, the gap is filled here. You see? This we call an imbalancement. The gap is now filled because we had what? We had some sellers who managed to take part in the market. Do you understand what I mean? So fine, let me just make you understand even if you don't understand. This thing is simple as long as you're having someone to show you in a clear picture. So guys, you see on the green move, this green move, it's called a bullish liquidity void. And then this red move, it's not called a bearish liquidity void. It's called the imbalancement of what? The bullish liquidity move. Do you understand what I mean, guys? This thing is simple. Okay, here we only had buyers. Then here the sellers came through to participate or to fill this unfilled gap. This is a unfilled gap. This is an unfilled gap. Unfilled gap. This unfilled gap. Do you understand my point? This unfilled gap. And then this other move, it's filling the unfilled gap. Filling the unfilled gap. Do you understand, guys? This thing is very simple. So you'll understand maybe when we come and try to gather or we combine all these basics. These are just the basics. So guys, we're having an unfilled gap where we only had buyers. And then here is this move, it's an imbalancement. This move is called an imbalancement. It's balancing what was not balanced on the green side. Do you understand? For those who have made a pure maths on school, they will tell you, okay, what do you do on your right hand side when you're solving X? You also do it on your left hand side, something like that. So if the market runs up and give or create a gap, it will come back and fill that gap. So this is what I'm trying to make you understand, guys. So you'll understand this part when we try to come and maybe combine all these things. So these are the basics. So here we have an unfilled gap on the green side because we only had buyers. And then here we had the filling of the gap that was not filled on the green side. Do you understand? So okay, what does this mean? Another way. This, guys, is simple. You see, the momentum the market went up, just relax. It will come back down with the very same, or even if it's not the same momentum, but the fact it will come back down to fill the gap. Simple. This is our part 2 gap. So here on part 2, I was just showing you if we're having a bullish liquidity void, we will also come and have the imbalancement. If you don't understand what I mean, it's something like this. So you can see we have a bearish liquidity void, but if you can check, still yet the price came back to fill the very same, you see, the very same length where the liquidity void started. Do you see? So here it felt the very same thing. So the thing is that I'm just trying to explain or to show you that if the market runs down here, the market will still go up to fill that gap. Simple like that. The market ran down, then it came back and filled the very same length. You can see the very same length, the very same length. So this is what I'm trying to show you. The market will run down in a liquid manner, but it will come back and fill that gap. So this is what part 2 was all about. Peace, guys. Let's go to part 3. Let's go to part 3 now. Let's go to part 3.